Well, hello everyone. This is glorious, isn't it? So this is our fourth Coronatime stand-up showcase from the University of Warwick. So I'm Nicholas. I will be your MC tonight, which stands for two words in some language of your choice. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be warming you up, saying some classic one-liners that I've spilled over the years, and then to the right of your screen, you'll see our performers who will be performing tonight. We have Harris, Ben, Kate, and Charlotte in any order that I will declare in a bit. So I don't know who's watching. No one's watching. Oh, that's normally the case. So I'll start off by telling you some jokes that I've
Should
written.
we post in the chat that we're live?
I'm putting in Sol for laughs as well.
Well, you can,
I think we should say,
you know, keep it to yourself, please. I don't think all the people in the public want to know about this, Kate.
Oh, I think they do.
So, Kate, can you get together? Come on then. Right, okay. So off we go. Off we pop. So I'll read some jokes. Like your kid at a busy train station. Keep with it. So here are some jokes to get you going. My ex-girlfriend's a spider. I found her on the web. I had a cowboy build. I had a cowboy builder to my house. He arrived on a bison. Nothing on the second side. I know. I rang up Domino's and I was like, I rang up Domino's, didn't I? And I was, can I have 241 pizzas? And the man's like, no, it's 241. It's 241. So there's nothing inside it. Okay, so I'll save those for later. So I'm currently in West London. Should be at uni doing maths, but not. Here with the family. I've got my brother who's, reduced to watching Countdown. You've got my stepmom who's, can be a pushy around the house. Can you hold this door open? No, it's a revolving door. You've got my dad who works in the loft. So he's what's called an essential worker because he makes cakes and food supply, whatever. So because he makes cakes and biscuits for Tesco's. If you've had a cinnamon bun this week from Tesco, you're welcome. There's my. And it's quite funny because he does all his work on Zoom, and I tell you, also does work on Zoom. It's my half brother. He's 6, and he goes to primary school, and he's got all his. He has to have his lessons all on Zoom now. It's really wholesome because you've got about 20 kids on this screen. 20 kids on this screen, all dotted around. Teacher in one. He did this French lesson the other day, and it was chaos because there's normally 15 in a class. He had 30 of these children. This French teacher's like, I don't know, so old. She's so old. Her phone number's about 9, and she she's just as she says, "Oh, bonjour, enfant." You're like, "Oh, hello, madame, hola," and then she'll say, "Right, okay, we're gonna now say these words in French." Okay, everyone's on mute, so you can just see them faffing about. She's like, "Okay, lave the cow, la vache." She's like, oh no, children, I can't hear you. I'm going to, let me just unmute you now. No, don't unmute the children. No, I'm going to unmute. Don't unmute all the children. I'm going to unmute you all now. She unmutes us. Can you repeat that, please? Oh, no, I'm going to mute you now. I'm going to mute you now. Okay. Thank you. Right. Okay. Now we'll do the next animal, children. Is everyone listening? Okay? Le mouton, the sheep. Le mouton. No, I can't hear you. I'm going to have to unmute you. Don't unmute the kids. Okay, I'm going to have to unmute you now, kids. Okay. So and then one kid started drawing on her screen, which is quite funny. They've got this problem at the minute with the kids. So on Zoom, you can draw on the host screen. I think you can. And a couple of kids have worked out how to do that. She's trying to give this lesson. They were just scribbling all over it. It's hilarious. And she's like, okay, can you stop? Who's doing that? I can't see. So I'm going to have to unmute you again. Can someone tell me who's doing it? Don't unmute the children. I'm going to unmute the children. So I need to see who's doing it. And then it's chaos. And it's quite funny. And you'd think it'd be more wholesome because, you've got all these little kids around learning French, but it's not. So I hope that's an insight into my life, and I've bored you to death. I was looking forward to this summer because there's a church, because I live in Leamington Spa while I'm at uni. So, they were all going to be at home. He was going to be in school. The family were going to be walking around. My stepmother was going to be walking around that revolving door, and I was going to be I was going to be back in uni. I was looking to go to church again this term because there's I was invited to someone's baptism in Barry, where this 14-year-old kid was just dragged into the sea, and I've been baptized. Well, I say I've been baptized. I was at a wedding and a bishop threw me into a duck pond. Does that count? So I was I thought, I went there, they sang their hymns, they did the service. I thought, yeah, this is quite wholesome. There's this church in Leamington Spa, St. John the Baptist, if you're French, Saint Jean Baptiste. I was going to go there, and, it's I don't care. I can find myself at home. I'm here, as usual, and you're at yours. And this is us from our living rooms, bringing stand-up to your living rooms. Well, I'm in an attic at the minute. So you've got lovely insulation to keep you warm. But look, this, and you can tell if you go back to Bristol and wherever you're from, they're like, oh, what's it like at his house? You can tell them this bit comes off. So so I hope you're all warmed up already. I know I am. I'm not. So we'll go through our stand-up. So our first act tonight is not from Warwick. I met him at the first year because we were venting about the Oxford show, R.I.P. And he's very kindly joined us tonight to give a few minutes of his time for a new routine that he's written. So you can all welcome now to the screen, Harris.
Hello, Warwick Comedy in Salford. Nottingham student here. I should just very quickly justify my presence, and if this material doesn't go well, I'll later try and justify my existence by giving a big thank you and shout outs to Nicholas Want. I'm deeply humbled, flattered, honoured to be here with you guys on this podcast. It's very brave of Nick to overcome the tribal barriers that keep our two institutions apart. And, when you think about it, at the end of the day, we're all part of one great, big familial human tragedy called the Midlands. So, it's very brave to do that. But anyway, the invitation itself came at a wonderful time. It didn't really do anything besides disrupt a pretty fruitful period of concentration on my exams, and may have just disrupted and severed what would have been an unfettered stream of success. So if my LinkedIn profile looks shit from a year from now, I'll know exactly who's to blame. Sadiq Khan, obviously. But no, back to my point, this little mild interruption, moderate hijacking, tame, albeit justifiable indulgence of my time, career-ending as it may be. I'm actually taking a lot of comfort in the fact that this sort of exact situation is what preceded the downfall of legendary rapper Tupac Shakur before he went mad and, his demise. For those who don't know, that essentially resulted from the fact that he was defeated in the marketplace of ideas by pro-thug life ideologists. That's not even meant to be a good punchline. I've just always wanted to say that exact sequence of words in front of random people. But anyway, back to my point. I'm very glad to be here. It's a welcome change. In the interest of full disclosure, I was getting a bit jaded from my usual routine of just waking up well past noon, listening to the same 3 Tame Impala songs, and occasionally going downstairs to light a cold one and check the daily death tally. But no, it's again wonderful to be here. I should probably introduce myself a bit more thoroughly. Besides being called Harris and hailing from being in Nottingham, sadly, I'm an atheist from a Muslim background, which might sound quite strange and inspirational to some people. It's really not. I just decided one day that I didn't believe in a god. So it's really not that much of a novelty, especially when you compare it to my best friend who's from a Hindu family, who's also an atheist, obviously, which just sounds exhausting when you think about it, because I had to consciously decide to not believe in a god, whereas my best friend had to pull up a fucking plethora of characters like he was on the loading screen of Tekken and then just go through each item one by one and be like, nope, not you, Ganesh. Which sounds like a really laborious task, so please don't give me attention for that. But another thing regarding myself, I'm a bit of a miracle worker, especially when it comes to the ladies. As you probably don't need to be told. One such miracle I can tell you about, though, is I made my prom date agree to be my prom date in spite of the fact that her dad was a member of the BNP. which you'd think that would pose some sort of difficulty, because it apparently didn't occur to her to tell this man about a pretty crucial caveat of my profile that may have, caused a bit of tension, nor did it occur to her to sort of tell me that she was the seed of a fucking fascist spunk trumpet. Yeah, she wasn't the brightest, but she was definitely a looker. But she tried to sort of circumvent this potential issue by sort of generally cryptically alluding to the fact that I should just alter my general aesthetic, because apparently she thinks it's possible for me to just lower the difficulty level I started off in life. Like, I didn't have any choice but to start on veteran, whereas some of you may have started on recruit. So, like, it really, she was not subtle about it at all. Like, she'd be like, "Oh, so Harris, what did you get up to this weekend?" "Oh, I saw this movie called The Departed, and I discovered lots of great new music." "Sure, I'll show you some." "Oh, that's The Departed. Oh, sounds a bit wacky." "Okay, fair enough. Would you like to see what suit I got for prom?" "Oh, looks a bit tacky." "Oh, okay." Eventually, this just culminated in me being so annoyed that I was just like, "Katie, listen, when I meet your dad, I'll open my mouth, and within a minute or two, he'll endear to me so much that, in his own words, I could very well become his favourite, wholesome, fun-loving gentleman." I'll take that bit out of the show if that punchline doesn't work. You probably can guess what was going to go there. But yeah, no, genuinely met him. The scenario was not ideal, and also was sort of exacerbated by the fact that, given that Katie was a sort of fervorous Harry Potter fan and a publicly known stoner, her dad didn't really take to the fact that I kind of asked him for his hand and permission in Hufflepuff, passing her along to my lineage and family. So as to facilitate a pretty epic stage in white genocide. For some reason, he just didn't find that amusing. I can't think why. Which you think, and you probably are wondering, like, Harris, what the fuck, did that really happen? Yes, but furthermore, how did you cope? And I just sort of took I took a bit of solace in the fact that something like this sort of identically happened to 1996 Soul Train Awards music video winner for California Love, Tupac Shakur. So it didn't really bother me. But I did try to break the ice. I thought, okay, fuck it, I'll go back to my last gambit, which was to pull a dad joke, because that would really work, and it did. So that's what I'm going to close off my segments with for you guys. Are you ready to hear it?
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. Right. Okay, gentlemen and ladies. Why did Johann Sebastian Bach choose to shop at Lidl and not at Waitrose? Why, Harris? Why?
Why was
because
that?
Because
Why?
I'll tell you. Because he was Baroque. Right, I've been Harris. Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Harris.
Thank you.
Absolute belter ascend, I must say. Thanks for the shout out at the start. I've never got one of those before. I've been given, what have I been given? I've been given a wedgie. I've been given, I got 20 quid for Christmas. Never been given a shout out. I was given a director's chair with my name on it. Someone once got me a grow your own potted palm. No, never been given a shout out. My mum once gave me a feather duster for my birthday, like, one of the pink ones that looks like a parrot that's been through the tumble dryer. She gave me one of those. Never been given a shout out. So thank you very much.
It's the first time for everything.
Yes, indeed it is, and not the first time that we've had someone from another uni, so don't take it. Keep it in the family. But yeah. It's nice being able to liaise with people from other unis, because on our side here we're all like broken biscuits wallowing away in a stagnant cesspool of bad comedy, and then there's us, and it's nice, of course, being able to and then it's nice being able to cooperate with a fellow maths student like yourself, Harris, because it's funny now because I'm having to do all my exams remotely, and I've got to do open book exams. I had an open book Japanese exam the other day, which is as pointless as you sound. I had 24 hours to record myself speaking Japanese for 2 minutes. 24 hours to record myself speaking Japanese for 2 minutes. I'm like, okay, so here are the rules. So you're not allowed to look at the internet. Okay. Hi, sensei. That you're not allowed to look. Hi, sensei. Hi, sensei. I won't. Yes. Okay. I won't. I won't. Okay. You're not allowed to talk to anyone else. But I don't know anyone else in my class. I don't know anyone else in my class. It's weird. It's weird going to a class you don't know anyone in. And the Japanese teacher, she'll do the admin in Japanese. I'm like, please, I don't speak Japanese. I can't. Well, no, I can't. It's 24 hours, and then you got the 24-hour open book exams. So it's like, right, okay, so, and the question is like, oh, right, okay, so it's open book, so it might be a hard question. Okay, question 1. So it goes, open the paper. I'm like, right, question 1. Do you want to go to Japan? And it's like, all right, yes. Okay, question 2. What's you doing on the weekend? It's like, right, okay. 2 minutes, 24 hours, okay, 2 minutes, 24 hours, okay. I can do this, and I did. You know, it's could have at least done, because the thing is, they should have at least done a Zoom call for that. You know, surely that's a way to avoid plagiarism or whatnot on normal exam, because I was allowed to take as many. They said, do it in one continuous recording, so I can't edit it. I can't, have an ear horn here and there. It has to be one continuous recording. I can take multiple takes, and they can't see my awful takes. Where I'd forgotten to shave or whatnot. They could have done at least a Zoom call, and great thing about Zoom is, I can have a background. I could have done it in the Imperial Garden or something, or I don't know. I could do it anywhere. I could do it in Hong Kong, mate. I could do it in somewhere which isn't Japan. I could do it in, I could do it in Pearl Harbor. I could do it anywhere. It's should have done that. I should just, could do it wherever I like. It's, So I'll tell you. I'll read out a couple more jokes. And in the break, I did check. There's nothing on the inside of this. I did indeed check in the break. So less of a joke, more of a comment. If you run over a sausage dog, is it a schnitzel dog? Then there's this little one here. What has 6 arms and 6 legs? 3 men. That's a bit childish. Then there's this one, which is a bit saucy. So I met this girlfriend who's really good at football. She's a keeper. So that's sort of where we're at the minute. So thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that, Harris. It was very grateful for you to come along at such short notice. So I think we're all ready and raving to hear our next act. I know I certainly am. I can't stay in my seat because it's a bar stool that's too high for me. So I'll hand you over now to our very own, fresh as the day God made her, Kate Cassidy.
Yeah. I do have to dispute the fresh comment though, because I don't leave the house anymore, so I haven't showered in about 17 days. But, my mum is someone who sort of prepares for a crisis a bit, and because we've never had a crisis before, I used to sort of make fun of her. So one thing she does is she grows food just in case. She has a garden, and she's got things she's got courgettes and her cucumbers. But now that we've got to isolate in the supermarkets and stuff, it's actually really good to know that we have a consistent supply of dildos. But no. So unpopular opinion. I think men should pay on the first date. Because when I go on a date, I don't try and look hot. I always try and look beautiful. And I'm not dressed for a date now. Sorry. Because, I'll commit to writing some stand-up to do this thing, but I'm not going to put a bra on in my own house. But no, and I dress beautiful, and that's not for the man. I never dress for the man. I dress for myself, and I dress for the newspaper reporter who write about me if on this date I get raped and murdered. Gotta be sure, just in case. You never know. You never know if your face is gonna get in there, because you might be just part of this wider piece about how there's a crisis in society, and I want an editorial. That's what I want. I don't want something. Oh, big problem. Oh, thousands of women a year. No, I want it about me. And I think this is just one of those funny differences between women and men. Men can be ready in 10 minutes. But then I have to spend hours doing my makeup, doing my hair, thinking about whether I should wear the blue dress or the red, because blue isn't my colour. But if I wear red and then I'm stabbed to death, the blood stains won't show up. And if your pictures in the paper, you want a really striking image. I don't want to have to put a filter on it. Fucking bullshit. And so some people hear this joke and they're like, mainly men, and they're like, oh my God, if you think you're going to be murdered on a date, don't go on the date. This isn't true. 'Cause I don't think that I'm going to be murdered on a date. I statistically might be murdered on every date. And there's just no way. So this is why I think the men should pay, because I think, people are like, oh, feminism, you make your own money, you can pay. But I think, well, there's not actually that much of like a gender pay gap anymore. There is a gender crime gap. And that's that even after centuries of hard work and, and striving to make people equal, men are still doing 95% of the murder. Women are hugely underrepresented in logging and murder. So that's why when I go on a first date, I always bring a chainsaw, fix two problems at once. And you might be like, oh my God, isn't that incredibly heavy to cart around with you everywhere? That's why I always make the man carry the bag. What can I say? I'm just old-fashioned. It's just the way I roll. I think that's all of my material. How long was I going? Not very long. Oh dear. I'm talking too quickly. There's not enough people to talk to, so when I finally have an opportunity, it all comes out at once. But no, thank you very much.
There we are. Thank you.
Thank you to you, Kate. That was good as usual. You can see Kate every Tuesday morning. My daughter. I can agree with you. I can sympathise with you with people taking ages to get ready, because my mum, before lockdown, we went to the hair salon and she spent 2 hours there getting a quote. It was really drove me up the wall. So I'll read out a couple more jokes for you that I've written. The first one again is more of like a comment, just something I've been thinking. Well, I really wish there was something better on the inside. It's more of a comment. Money is just worth its own value. There's a little one for you. So then here's the next one. So I was playing chess naked the other day, and the Chinese person. No, I can't say that one. I can't say that one. It's just like so that's so those are my jokes for this part. I'll move swiftly on to the next one, so I'm not waffling. So she's a fresher with us. She's does biology. So all eyes are on her at the minute, and she's quite new. So but she's an up and coming rising star of our society, one of our own homebred. Introducing Charlotte.
Ooh, yeah.
Thank you, Nicholas. Hello. Right. The observant of you will have noticed I'm wearing a flat cap and are probably thinking, is that mandatory for people who live near Birmingham? The answer is no, but during these trying times, you might as well be a Shelby. But the real reason for the hat is that my hair has grown incredibly long. My fringe began as a Claudia Winkleman and has now progressed to a full-on seer, which is an ironic name because with a fringe like that, you can hardly see a thing. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have done the comedy equivalent of a Tesco substitution. You couldn't have the Edinburgh fringe, so we gave you the Elvins fringe. So my mum has offered to cut my hair, but to be frank, that would be a more regrettable decision than the bloke who decided to eat a bat for tea. The last time I got a home haircut, it looked like the outline to Thorpe Park. How she got the loop-de-loop in there, I'll never know. It actually had the same effect as a roller coaster. People felt nauseous and dizzy just looking at it. Mind you, it is getting tempting because the people here aren't too great at social distancing. However, with special fringe, people are staying 2 meters apart whether there's a pandemic or not.
Mm.
Now, what else can I say about Corona apart from the fact that it's made me look like an old English sheepdog? I've actually started behaving a bit like a dog since lockdown started. I'm nervous whenever people leave the house. I go mental at the mere mention of a walk. And due to the lack of public toilets, I've resorted to weeing up lampposts. So, now, due to quarantine, I've spent a lot of time with my own thoughts. And I've noticed that I am random as hell. So remember how there was a whole thing with loo roll? Where's it gone? How much is left? Who poos that much? But meanwhile, I was thinking, why koalas? You know what I'm thinking? Who's looking at marsupials and thinking, well, that looks thoroughly absorbent. I'm really hoping the advertising people are going for cuteness rather than it being based on actual, experience. It's like you've just got them going out into the outback, into Australia. Just I'm so glad I decided to come here. So peaceful and quiet. I'll just finish off it. Oh, run out of loo roll. Well, those eucalyptus leaves don't look very comfy. Hello, little fella. Come here. Eucalyptusy freshness. So basically, you can see why I needed to get a hobby recently. And the trouble is, I'm not very original. So I thought I'd just borrow one of my brother's hobbies. Be fine. And my youngest brother is really into Romans. Like, the child was destined for history. His middle name is William because of the Monarch song from Horrible Histories. So I've always thought that must have been a curious conversation at hospital. And the middle name, William. The grandfather, the conqueror. Now, I like Horrible Histories as much as the next man, so I thought I'll join in. But, oh God, I did not realise how much he liked Romans. He wants to live like them. His hobbies are chariot racing, invading barbarian countries, and wearing my bedsheets as clothes. It is rather frustrating when you are 19 and your 8-year-old brother has been to more toga parties than you have. So, safe to say, he likes his reenactments. And the other day, he decided that the mighty Roman was going to attack and battle Boudicca of the Iceni. However, Boudicca was not informed of this arrangement. So she kind of went full Londinium on him and kind of slightly maybe decked him. The trouble was the Roman called for reinforcements, and now I'm in the Emperor's bad books. So if you'll excuse me, I'm going to have to fight some lions off in the Colosseum. Bye. That's me done.
Thank you very much to Charlotte. As I say, I'm very good. I live near Thorpe Park here, and it's weird because you go to all the other theme parks, you realise it's really, really, rough around the edges. You've got the, it's got all the big rides. You've got the log flume with some things bobbing up and down in the water. I got an annual pass once. We always go there every day. It's just the amount of queues. You're better off, waiting in a line all day. It's fun. Yeah, I quite like your flat cap, Charlotte. Because my granddad, he used to wear a flat cap. He used to wear a flat cap today, but then he died. Do you know they make flat caps? Yeah. Got to. Do you know they make flat caps?
No, I don't know how they make them now. Stitching fabric.
They call a factory in Indonesia. And they say, "Yo, we want 20." No, not really. I'm kidding with you. There's a better answer to this. They get a really posh Victorian man to do a headstand in a top hat. Tell that to your younger brother. Which is also similar. It's also similar to how they make an iPad. Do you know how they make an iPad?
How do
they take an iPhone and they get your mama to sit on it. Hey, thank you. Your mama so fat she has to use paint roller to put glass in the morning. So I'll tell you some more jokes, guys. Here's some more jokes for you. My best friend's a raffle ticket. He's a tear away. There was something on the back. I'm impressed. Now for a joke I made up when I was 11. So a tornado went over a local underwear shop. They really got their knickers in a twist. That can be put down. Doctor Who theme joke now. So a load of Daleks infested my home, and I had to call the local exterminator. Thank you. Charlotte, you're a fellow Whovian,
yes.
Not me.
Yes.
Who's your favourite Doctor?
David Tennant, obviously.
I'd like to be included in that tribe as well.
Is that, I'm
David
not saying
Tennant.
I've got a Mr. Potato Head Lieutenant right here.
Your favourite doctor is
I'm not
David
amused.
Tennant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Charlotte. I'm just gonna have to mute you. Thank you. There we go. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so on to our next act then. She can wave, but we can't hear her. So, I'll let her back in now. I'm just teasing you, Charlotte.
I
Not you
know.
really. Okay, so
Oh, welcome to.
I know. Yeah, well, don't milk it. So, so we'll move on to our last act of this evening. Then, like Santa's elves on Christmas Eve, we'll wrap it all up. So introducing someone who isn't actually from our university. He's from another establishment in a small hamlet just south of London called Salford. Introducing Ben Hodges.
Woo!
Hey!
Hey, look at that! Look at that! Let's keep it going. Yeah, I can imagine everyone clapping at home. Yay! Thank you for the validation. So, so my name's Ben, and a lot of people think it's short for Benjamin, and no, actually, it's short for Benton. I know, interesting, isn't it? Thank you. I chose it myself. And a lot of people wonder, well, why'd you pick Benton and not a normal name? It's very simple, really. I can shorten it to Bent, and women know not to bother. So I'm doing my job. Yeah, I am from Salford. I'm not from Warwick, mainly because I'm not clever enough. So I went to Manchester, but then I wasn't clever enough, so I went to Salford. And Salford's a city, but I wouldn't really call it a city. Slums is the word that I like to use. Like, Salford's the sort of city where you can step out the door and get hepatitis B just by looking at the shopping centre. But I really like to think of, Salford, the way I see Salford. I really like to think of my enjoyment of it the way I think of my sex life. I stay on the bottom and there's a small risk of disease. It's also filthy and cheap. So there's a lot of talk about lockdown, and a lot of people have talked about lockdown, but I just think like we're all living through it, and there's no point in talking a lot about it. But I do miss a lot of things being in lockdown. Like, I was speaking to my mum, and I said I really miss eating out, and she said, "Oh, where?" Apparently, my boyfriend's ass wasn't an appropriate answer. So I mean, if you couldn't already tell, I'm gay. And us gays have access to a world that a lot of straights wouldn't really have access to. Like, I'm sure a few people have heard of Grindr. Yes, I can hear the sighs at home. But in case you haven't heard of Grindr, Grindr is basically a hunting ground for uncivilized, horny gay men. We're so uncivilized that they've had to separate us into tribes. So you've got like jocks, otters, twinks, and I can see you wondering. I'm a bear. Raw. Now, I downloaded Grindr to find a different way to deal with stress, because student loan doesn't cover any real coping mechanisms, like therapy or ketamine. And you get a lot of strange reactions on Grindr. So, for example, old men would pop up to me and go, "Hey, I'm hung," and it's like, yeah, and old enough to be my dad. Like, this isn't what I'm looking for. Or other people would say, "Well, why are you on Grindr?" And it's like, oh, to discuss sunflower growth, gardening, the changing seasons, maybe the same desperate reason you are, you daft twat. And a lot of them do need a conversation about gardening. Okay, I've seen things. I really like to think of Grindr a little bit like Pokemon Go as well. But instead of going to new and exciting places and catching rare Pokemon, I go to new and exciting places and catch STIs. And then when it gets kinky, it's a little bit like Pokemon Dungeon. So I had an interaction on Grindr where someone popped up to me with a picture of his penis and said I could do with a hand. And I just thought, perfect. You have two. Go crazy. I had someone else pop up to me, and I was so ready to go hook up with him. Like, I was just so ready to go and raring to go. Translated, I was horny. And I was ready to go until he said that his roommate came home and he asked if we could go to the bike shed underneath his apartment block. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this isn't what I had in mind when he said we could go for a ride. I don't know. And I'm transgender as well. So I am transgender. And, you know, being a trans man on Grindr, I gave people a really good 2-for-1 experience. You know, men in the streets and what the fuck is that in the sheets? And it's, you know, I don't mind it. A lot of people do ask, what do trans people have down there? And I don't mind answering it. Basically, it's just this abyss of nothingness where all light just gets sucked in, a little bit like this bedroom, where all light just gets sucked in and nothing leaves and nothing enters. Or as I call it, my vagina. You know, a lot of people on Grindr really like to share dick pics, and that's something that people enjoy doing. And people would often ask me for a dick pic, and I'd politely decline. And they say, well, why won't you send me one? I'd say, you see, I would send you one. I just don't have the balls to do it. So, you know, it's not all bad. I did meet my boyfriend on Grindr. You should be watching if you are. Hi, Joe. You know, I've been with my boyfriend for about a year. What? Someone who's not trans dating a trans man? How charitable. So, you know, I do like to think of my boyfriend a little bit like the way maths was for me at school. Always hard, to the point that it gets exhausting. Always hard. And you know, I finally get to do the gay things that I always dreamed of doing before I came out. So, for example, he calls me his little koala, and that's when I like wrap my arms and legs around him to give him a cuddle. And then I piss on him and give him chlamydia. So I'm gonna leave you on this, right? I feel like I just don't talk about being trans enough. Like, I just feel like people just don't know it enough. So I'm just gonna, you know, just in case you missed it, I am transgender. I love puberty so much, I've decided to go through it twice. This is currently 2 years in the making, so as you can tell, it's going shit. And you know, being transgender, like, a lot of people wonder about how I came to this point where I realized that I was a boy. And I first came out as a lesbian and then as a bisexual. So if you really think about it, I've completed LGBT. Not many people can say that. And you know, a lot of people say, well, you did come out as a lesbian, you did come out as a bisexual. How did you come out to your parents as transgender? I did this. I sat them down, and I said this to them. I said, Mum, Dad, there's something I have to get off my chest. It's my tits. I'm a boy, and you know, I had top surgery in December, which basically means I now have designer nipples. Call me Gucci, and before top surgery, I used to have to wear a binder, and a binder is basically like a compression vest that gives me a flat look. And you can get, like, you know, black binders to hide in clothing, white binders to hide in clothing, nude, if you want to have ones that match your skin tone. I chose green. I chose a green binder because you know what's really going to help my crippling self-esteem and my horrible, disabling gender dysphoria? Having the torso of Shrek. So... And with that, I think I will leave you on a little question because, you know, I don't feel like my identity is put up for debate enough. So I'm on testosterone, right? And I went to my hormone specialist recently and found out that my testosterone levels are high, which I think would be really great because I clearly exude masculinity. Like, look, I can show you a watch. Raw. But actually, what happens is when your testosterone levels are high, it converts back into estrogen. So now my estrogen levels are also high. So does that make me twice the man I am now, or double the woman I was before? And if you said or thought 1 minute, it's a hate crime, okay? You get 7 extra years for that shit. You've been great. Like, I can't see you, but you've been great. I've been a minority. I've been Ben Hodge. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us, Ben. Great. Were you on the last one? I don't know. I had to leave halfway through. My Wi-Fi was being a bit iffy.
No, my nan died, so I couldn't.
Oh.
But you know, we're here now.
Well, all right.
What matters.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Everyone on the side is just said like, oh my god, oh my god, his nan died. But you know, you gotta laugh to get through it.
So,
Yeah.
As they say. So where do you say you're from? Round about Manchester.
Salford.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Manchester.
Salford.
Pretty much.
Yeah, Manchester.
Yes, it's Salford.
No, Nicholas, you misheard him.
Yeah.
He's from Manchester.
Yeah, just Salford. You know,
Ben, you're going to have to accept the fact that you're just going to become a colony of Manchester.
It's okay. You can support Aston Villa if you want. No, but it's no, because we come from all over. Because like she Redditch, and she won't shut up about it. And the only time I've been to Redditch, I was lost. I'm a little Welsh boy. You got Kate from Brighton, which is where my dad's from. So everything in the house has a seagull on it because it's Brighton Hove Albion, and their logo's a seagull. Everything in the house has a seagull in it because my dad's from Brighton, much like Kate. And you know, everything. We've got the Brighton edition of Monopoly, and my half brother loves playing it because he just likes money and winning. And the cheapest square is the West Pier. The West Pier burnt down in 1977. So it's like, what if there's a hotel on that? Why is it a snorkeling holiday? So, but we've all come from all over together tonight on this marvel of technology to deliver you what I hope has tickled you slightly. And if it hasn't, ask your sibling to tickle you for you. I'm not doing it. So I think I'll say extend my thanks to all our performers. We've had Harris, Kate, Charlotte, Ben. Any of you like to make any closing remarks? Oh, would like to clap. Would you like to clap?
Save the NHS? Oh yeah, sure, go ahead. Why not?
Yeah.
I see. Mine was gonna be a bit more like pluggy, but now Harris has said save the NHS. I'm gonna look like a right dick if I go. By the way, my Instagram is.
No, go on, put it.
Same side, same lives.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Pop it in the comments after.
Yes.
Listen to government advice and stay alert.
Indeed, but if you also want to listen to some other comedy, my Instagram is @Benton_media. Search Ben Hodge on YouTube, and you should find me. But also save the NHS, you know, because that's something important that I guess we should say as well. You know? Yeah, for sure.
You can add me on SoundCloud as well.
Yeah,
it must be said, Ben, you are. Sorry to cut you off. It must be said, Ben, you are arguably within the top 3 comedians I've heard of from Manchester.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
Definitely Manchester.
Yeah, definitely Manchester. Definitely not Salford. Well, I mean, I'm actually from Liverpool, so you know it's all a lie. But I mean, while you all were saying about your favourite doctors being like David Tennant, mine are actually the essential workers. So I mean, who's the real winner here?
Yeah, but as a Welshman, you drowned our valleys, mate. You drowned our valleys. But anyway, I think we've gone all night without mentioning politics. I don't think we should turn it that way. We've gone all night. We've been really good tonight, guys. We haven't mentioned politics once.
For at least 42
we
minutes.
haven't. We've done really well. It's brilliant. We've done well. We've talked about nice little idiosyncrasies, and I think we've done well. So I think it's a good point to cut us all off. Say thank you to all our viewers, all our hundreds of thousands of viewers in their condos across the world in Puerto Rico and that. Thank you to our performers again. I've been Nicholas. They've been themselves. Thank you very much for watching. Good night. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.